out of the sea mist on the seabed, we thought, well, that looks a little bit familiar, and it does look like the Siren vase. It's got the rudder at the back still in place, sweeping out. It's got a high curved stern.
What I talked far about the vessel is it was interesting that it was quite away from the coast.
Yes. But we found over 67 vessels just in a few short years of survey. And I don't think that's that surprising, because we expect these ships to be trading. Some of them were coming into the Black Sea from the Mediterranean, so quite long distance, and others were crossing between the Black Sea ports. Of course, when we're thinking about this Greek ship, we have Greek colonies well established in the Black Sea at that time.
A look at these images because they sound extraordinary, and we'll make sure we put that on our social media and on our website as well. Professor Alice Roberts and Dr. Helen Farr, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Absolutely fascinating. And now here's the sport with Carthy.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Arsenal outplayed Leicester City in the Premier League last night to win 3-1 and move up to 4th place in the table. Mesut Ozil's performance was exceptional as Arsenal recorded a 10th consecutive victory in all competitions. There's Champions League action tonight with Manchester City in Ukraine to play Shakhtar Donetsk, while Manchester United host Juventus. There's commentary of that match on 5 Live this evening. Cricket, and the final game of England's one-day series takes place in Colombo today. England have a 3-0 lead in the series. Let's go first to Colombo and get a quick update on the conditions there from Simon Mann.
Well, it's good news. The weather is fine, plenty of blue sky. The pattern in the last few days in Colombo has been heavy late evening showers. There is a reserve day for this match if 20 overs haven't been bowled in the second innings, so we should get through either today or tomorrow. England will make changes after winning the series. It's a meaningful game for those trying to guarantee a place in the 15-man World Cup squad, not least for Mark Wood, who was a regular in the summer but comes in for his first international of the tour. England haven't confirmed their team, but we think Stones, Wokes and possibly Tom Curran out, Wood, Plunkett and Sam Curran in.
Thank you very much, Simon Mann. Well, let's find out more about this game with former England cricket coach and the head coach now of Nottinghamshire, Peter Moores. Good morning.
Morning, Carly.
England have won the series 3-0 ahead of this, but what have you made of their overall performance in Sri Lanka so far?
Yeah, they'll be pleased how they've played. They've done what they had to do. They've won the game. I think they'll be a bit frustrated that the games have all been curtailed by the rain, which means they haven't had it.
Surprisingly for Sri Lanka, really, it's been raining a lot in October and none of the matches have been completed to the 50 overs so far. But we do know about some of the players. Johnny Bairstow is missing this game. He'll miss the T20 at the weekend as well, and he missed the 4th one-day international. How important is he and how missed will he be?
Yeah, they'll be a bit frustrated about it. I think it was a football injury, but in some ways I think they'll also it's a chance to look at Alex Hales. I mean, Alex Hales done very well. He's been missed out. And one of the strengths of this England squad is the people not in it, the depth they have. But it's a chance for Alex to get a couple of games, chance for him to get a score, and they know exactly they'll want all the players in that squad to be playing well and in and around with the World Cup coming up within a year's time. So I think from that point of view, they won't be too disappointed. Now they've won the series, a chance to look at some other players.
Well, how much is that World Cup in their minds now? It's in this country, England and Wales hosting it next year, and it's something that they're really looking ahead to it, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly for Owen as captain and stuff like that, they'll think that'll define them as a team. Really, if they go on and win that World Cup, they'll become, their legacy as a team will be huge. So that it'll be all about building up to that. It's 4 years. They've had a settled team for a long time now, so they'll go into that tournament, for the first time for England. I think going into a tournament knowing the team they're going to play, which is a huge thing to have.
OK, Peter Moores, thank you very much for your time this morning. That brings me to the racing tips. Exeter, 3:20, number 8, Lycian Prince, and Newcastle, 5:10, number 5, Cadeau Magnifique.
Thank you, Carthy. In half an hour, the Life Scientific returns to Radio 4.
What was it like working with nearly 200 member states of the UN?
Professor Jim Al-Khalili in conversation with principal scientists.
The most important thing is that people must realise that a psychosomatic symptom is real.
A leading neurologist, a pioneering vet, and a former UN chief scientist now living in a mud hut with her Maasai chief husband.
I went to his chief-making ceremony and realised at the end that I was the betrothed.
You hadn't realised at the time?
No, because my ma was non-existent and nobody else could speak the language, so it was an interesting day.
The new series of The Life Scientific starts this morning at 9 on BBC Radio 4.
And
And a look at the weather. Dry and fine in the south today, but cloudy and windy with outbreaks of rain in the north.
You're listening to Today on Radio 4 with Martha Carney and Nick Robinson at 29 minutes to 9. Neil Sleet has a summary of the news.
29 Nobel Prize-winning scientists have written to Theresa May and the President of the European Commission, Jean-Claude Juncker, warning that Brexit could harm scientific research. The Nobel laureate Sir Paul Nurse told us the increasing chaos around Brexit negotiations was causing huge concern among scientists. The Science Minister, Sam Gyimah, said the government was planning to increase funding for scientific research. What's believed to be Britain's biggest strike over equal pay for women is underway in Glasgow. Up to 8,000 council employees are expected to take part in the 48-hour walkout. More than 100 Conservative MPs and 50 members of the House of Lords are calling on the government to scrap plans to investigate historic crimes in Northern Ireland and other conflicts. They say the system is completely at odds with the government's commitment to the armed forces. President Erdogan of Turkey has said he will reveal information today about the killing of the Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Saudi Arabia's foreign minister has promised a thorough investigation.
Thank you, Neil. It's now 28 minutes to 9. Till others, in Donald Trump's words, come to their senses. This days after he announced that he would withdraw the United States from the treaty forged by Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev after America and the Soviet Union competed to locate cruise missiles and SS-20s in Europe. I've been speaking to Professor Matthew Krainig. He worked in the Pentagon under the Obama administration and has advised a series of Republican presidential candidates. I asked him if people would be wrong to be afraid of Donald Trump talking up the expansion of America's nuclear arsenal.
I think they would be wrong in this case because Russia has been cheating on this INF treaty for several years. The Obama administration first announced Russian cheating in 2014. We've been trying to get Russia to come back into compliance for several years, and it hasn't worked. So it doesn't make sense for the United States to constrain itself while the Russians build the